We'll start with the prayers. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahaihi. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are studying Panchadasi, the 4th chapter, with 69 verses. A very important chapter from the view of self-realization. The highest teaching of Vedanta and the scriptures is seeing the whole creation as Advaita principle. Very, very important point. Seeing the whole creation as Advaitam. What is the meaning of Advaitam? And what is the meaning of Dvaitam? All our experiences in life is Dvaitam. The waking experiences, the dream experiences is Dvaitam. Our experience in sleep state is Advaitam. Our real nature is Advaitam. We should learn to separate experience and nyanam. Experience is always with chit abhasa, with reflected consciousness. Knowledge is our swarupam, our original nature. So Advaitam means non-dual nature. According to the vision of the Shastra, which consists of Prasthana Trayam, primarily the Upanishadic literature, assisted by Bhagavad-gita and Brahma Sutra. If you ask, what did I study from all these 3 texts? You should be able to say, I now have the vision of non-dual Brahman. Till you are able to get and say this with conviction, you should study the Prasthana Trayam. The primary source for all this is the Upanishads. Don't forget that. Upanishadic literature is the primary source. And in the Upanishadic literature, if somebody were to ask, there are 108 Upanishads. There are 10 Upanishads commentaries of Shankaracharya available. What is the central essence of those commentaries? In one word, you should say Advaitam. It's a Sanskrit word, a very, very important word. And it means there is something which is non-dual, and that something is called as Brahman. Highest, this is the highest. There is nothing above this. If I am able to understand the word Advaitam and can, in my own intellect, absorb the teaching of the Upanishads. And the main mantra for Advaitam is Mandukya Upanishad, mantra number 7. Na anta prajnam, na bahish prajnam, no bhaya prajnam, na prajnam. All that particular mantra is a central essence. So, Dvaitam is my experiential state. Advaitam is my nature. From that nature of mine, I experience this body, mind, and the world. In order to understand Advaitam, I must learn what is Dvaitam. This Dvaitam is the container for knowing Advaitam. In Dvaitam, what is the experience? The experience is Ishwara shishti and Jiva shishti. In the very first mantra of this chapter, Vidyaranya Swami says there are two Dvaitams in creation. One created by Ishwara, another is created by the Jiva. From verse number 2 to 13, 1-3, Ishwara Dvaitam is being explained. In verse number 2, we studied last week Shvetashvatara Upanishad. This Upanishad mantra says that Maya principle is the cause of Prakriti or matter. Brahman is the cause of consciousness, sentiency. That pure Brahman, when it is an association with Maya, it is called as Ishvaraha. And this association is an apparent association. It is not a factual, real association. It comes and goes. Therefore, it is called as mithya. The whole universe is a part of this Ishvara. Whole universe is a part of this combination of Maya with Brahman. And whenever this happens, we see creation, we experience creation. That was mentioned in verse number 2. Verse number 3 said that this Atma alone was there before creation. So second verse talks about Shvetashvatara Upanishad. The third verse talks about Aitareya Upanishad. And what it says is this non-dual Brahman or pure consciousness alone existed without the creation. Don't think that there is something very far away and in the past it existed. The way the Upanishad teaches us is from our current level, when we look at this world in front of us and my body and my sense organs, from this point, the Upanishad is teaching us. It is telling us that before this body and the world was created, there was this sentient principle alone. That is said in Aitareya Upanishad. Today we are going to start the fourth verse, which is Taittiriya Upanishad.
Kham vai jalor aushadhihi. Kham vai vagnir jalor aushadhihi. Annadeha kramadami. Annadeha kramadami. Sambhuta brahmanastasmat. Sambhuta brahmanah tasmat. Etasmat atmanokhilah. Etasmat atmanokhilah.
So what does this verse, whenever you study creation, like I said last week, Vidyaranya, in one place, he has brought in all the creation mantras. So that if you want to study creation, you can study chapter 4 of Panchadasi and especially verses 2 to 13. You will get a full idea about all the creation theories in Upanishads. What does Taittiriya Upanishad say? It says that this self or Brahman alone was there before Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apaha, Prithvi, Oshadaya. Before the bodies were created, body is Thula Shariram, made up of matter, the Panchabhutas. Before even the first Panchabhuta came into existence, this pure sentient being was there, it is there, and it will be there. Because that is the changeless cause of the universe. During a great grandfather's time, this Brahman was there. Now the Brahman is there. In future, after another 500 years also, that Brahman will be there. Why? Because it is the changeless cause. The changing cause is matter, the Panchabhutas. The bodies are changing. The mind is changing. Our Karana Sharira is changing. What doesn't change is the experiencer, consciousness. In your body, my body, in your daughter's body, it is the same consciousness which is called as Om. The life principle is called as Om. It is another name for Brahman. That is what is said in this verse. It's a very, very important verse for understanding creation. At any time, if you want to explain to somebody what is creation, you can use this verse. How does this verse explain? It's very, very unique in its explanation of the universe. Very unique. You will never find this explanation in any science textbook. Scientists have yet to come and understand this concept of creation in this format. It says there is a sentient principle. In that sentient principle, the whole universe is coming and going. Universe consists of Panchabhutas. The first Panchabhuta is Akasha. From Akasha, the Vayu comes. From Vayu, Agni comes. From Agni, Apaha comes, Jalam. From Jalam, Prithvi comes. So 5 elements from subtlest space to grossest earth, that is how the creation takes place, which is called as krama shrishti. Creation in stages. In the last Saturday class, I was talking to you about creation. If you have attended that Saturday class, you will remember krama shrishti and akrama shrishti. Akrama shrishti means it is universe doesn't have any order. Krama means universe has an order. Akrama means exactly like dream. There is no dream space created first and then all the other objects. No, it is just one flash. So 5 elements in the order of subtlety is this creation. A person's body is sthula shariram, consists of the gross 5 elements. So whether you burn the body, whether you put it under the ground, whether you float it in the sea, it makes no difference because it is Panchabhutas. The Jiva which is inside the body has already left. That is how this vision of, you should know the vision of this universe, have the vision of this universe. I am, who am I? I am not the external house. The house like is made up of bricks. This body is made up of Panchabhutas, the 5 elements. But inside this body, there is a reflection of consciousness. That reflection is called as the Jiva. Original nature of the reflected consciousness is what? Not inside the body. It is outside the body. Inside the body, inside the cave of the intellect is this Jiva sitting. That is the reflected consciousness. What does this Jiva enjoy? It enjoys the thoughts in the mind. Whenever there are good thoughts, the Jiva thinks that I am very happy. Whenever there are painful thoughts, the Jiva feels I am sad. But this sadness and happiness is caused by thoughts. It is not the nature of Jiva. It is not the intrinsic nature, only the incidental nature. What is the intrinsic nature of Jiva? It is not the reflected consciousness. It is the original consciousness, pure consciousness, without the content, without the container called the thoughts. Okay, so I'm trying to explain the deepest meaning of Brahman in these sessions so that you can relate. We are not talking about something very, very abstract. We are talking about me, myself. How do I see myself? Sambhutaha. Sambhutaha means born. Atmana sambhutaha. Brahmanaha sambhutaha. From this Atma, the Panchabhutas are born. From Shuddha Brahman, which is the ultimate reality. We are not talking of Ishwara. We are talking about the ultimate reality, which is pure in nature, which is what I am in my sleep state without the ignorance part. From that Shuddha Brahman, nothing can come because it is pure. There is no world in that. This infinite complex, which is this complete infinite Brahman, is called as Nirguna Brahman. Tasmat. That, when you say that, from that, it means Nirakara Nirguna Ishwara. Tasmat means the Saguna Brahman, which is Ishwara. So this is where you should, as senior students of Vedanta, you should make the difference between Nirguna Brahman and Saguna Ishwara. The moment you see the creation, it means you are experiencing Ishwara. When you are not experiencing creation, you are in your original nature. Immediately while listening to the class itself, you should be able to understand this nature of ours. Atmanaha. Atmanaha means in this Atma, which is called as the self. The self of this body is called as Atma. The self of the universe is called as Brahman. This is the technical name given to what we are ultimately. And then we say in the Mahavakyam, Atma is the same as Brahman, because both relate to pure consciousness. So Saguna Brahman in reality is this Jivatma, that is the Mahavakyam. Saguna Brahman in reality, which is Nirguna Brahman, is seated in the intellect or the buddhi. Is it? The highest truth is established in this verse of Taittiriya Upanishad. So we have seen Svetashvatara Upanishad, where Maya, the Prakriti, how that becomes Ishvara is mentioned in the previous verse, in the third verse. Then we saw the Aitareya Upanishad, where it says that there was this pure consciousness before the world came up. And now in Taittiriya Upanishad, we are seeing how that pure consciousness from that nature, how it becomes the universe. So anytime there is an equation between Nirguna Brahman and Ishvara, or Nirguna Brahman and Jiva, that is called as Mahavakya. So how do I understand this? What I have to do is, I take my body. Now body is conditioned with Panchakoshas. I remove the Panchakoshas, and then what remains? It is not, don't say nothing remains. You must say Atma remains. So this Jiva, which is surrounded in a mesh called as avidya, avidya means ignorance. So you remove your ignorance about yourself and see your nature. Similarly, Ishvara, the whole universe is Ishvara. According to Bhagavad-gita, 10th and 11th chapter, it says that I am this whole Ishvara. Who is this? Which is what is the world. Okay, so this is Mahavakya, how you analyze, how you see the real nature of Jiva and the real nature of Ishvara. By mere sankalpa, Aitareya Upanishad and Taittiriya Upanishad say that this creation came about. Aitareya Upanishad says by thought the whole creation comes. Taittiriya Upanishad says there was an order in creation. Is there a contradiction between the two verses, between Aitareya Upanishad and Taittiriya Upanishad? Is there any dissonance? Is what the author is asking. Panchadasi Vidyaranya is asking this question. So this is just a revision. I'm not going to go through these slides. I have already taken these slides. And I have explained to you. So this is just a revision if you are doing a reading of the notes. Now let's go to the 5th verse.
बहुश्यामहमेवातः बहुश्यामहमेवातः प्रजायेयेति कामतः प्रजायेयेति कामतः तपस्तप्त्वा सृजत् सर्वं जगदित्याहतित्तिरिः
From Taittiriya Upanishad, Vidyaranya takes. See, these are all picked up verses of Vidyaranya to tell us what is this creation which we see before us. In Taittiriya Upanishad, in the 3rd Anuvaka of the 2nd chapter, it says, in the 6th Anuvaka of the Taittiriya Upanishad, it says that this pure Atma or Brahman desire. What it is desire? That I want to be many. I want to become many. Let me create. That was the desire. Now, this is a proof of sentiency. It is not, Brahman is not Jadam. It is not Panchabhutas. This is before the creation of Panchabhutas. Very important point in Vedanta. Science, you have to go beyond science. This is subject matter beyond science, beyond our sense organs. Appaurusheya Visheha. It is not Paurusheya Vishaya, Appaurusheya. It is not seen, known by, it is not revealed by the sense organs, by any sources of knowledge. And knowing this, what happens to us? My ignorance about the world goes away. The benefit of this knowledge is my ignorance goes away. My sanchita karmas are all destroyed when I come to know this sentiency principle. And what does it say here? He becomes the manifest and the unmanifest, the defined and the undefined, the housed and the houseless, the knowledge and ignorance. See how beautiful this, see, the very, very important to understand. He became, that means that consciousness enters both the manifested world and the unmanifest world. Unmanifest world means what? The one world we all experience in our sleep state. Karana Sharira. That Brahman, that consciousness is there. It has entered these two states, manifest, unmanifest. The manifest is called as the defined. Niruktam cha, niruktam cha. Then housed and houseless. It is the one which is with the body. House. The body is the house. World, universe is the house of Ishvara. Body is the house of Jiva. Jiva and Ishvara are not two separate. It is the one principle which is Brahman. The Jiva has got ignorance. See, now knowledge and ignorance, avidya and maya. So, one pure consciousness has become, means what? It reflects in these two upadhis. All this, sometimes you may wonder, what is this reflection we are talking about all the time? Reflected consciousness, reflected existence, reflected ananda. This is the proof. That what is this proof? This is called as anupravesha stuti. Anupravesha means what? That pure consciousness enters the body. How exactly? Like I enter in front of a mirror, I myself, the original face, enters the mirror as what? As a reflection. Similarly, this pure consciousness is the sentient factor in me. Suppose I'm thinking, what shall I cook today? Where should I go tomorrow? What is my plan? That thinking is done by whom? The power of that thinking is called as sentiency. It is this sentiency, when it leaves the body is pronounced as dead. There is no more sentiency in the body. The pranas are not working, the mind is not working, the sense organs are not working, but that reflection has gone away. This is how Vidyaranya tries to make us understand our own nature. See, the whole shishti is given to us so that we can understand our nature. Ahameva. Here, ahameva means that pure Brahman himself decided to enter and create this world. Like, for example, the potter uses the clay and produces a pot, but he doesn't become the pot. This is not the case with Srishti. This is the case when we are experiencing the Dvaita Prapancha. Now we are talking about a state before the Dvaita Prapancha. There what happens? That pure Brahman, by Sankalpa, says, let me become many. In technical language, it is called as abhinna nimitta upadana karana. This technical language, what it really means is, it was the intelligent cause behind creation. And nimitta karana means intelligent cause, instrumental cause. It is the cause. Whenever we say there is a cause, means you should ask whether it is instrumental cause or intelligent cause, or is it a material cause? Upadana karanam or nimitta karana. And what is the pure nature of Brahman? I am complete. Purnaha. We chant this mantra, Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachade. That mantra is telling us what is the nature of reality. What is the nature of this Brahman? That is why at the end of the talk, we always chant this mantra again and again for us to remember our own nature. Bahusyam anekada. Let me become the whole multiple universe. That was the sankalpa of that creator Ishwara. Then prajayeya. May I be born as offsprings. Like a mother gives birth to a child, similarly, the Lord gave birth to the whole universe. So the source is this Lord, and it has become many, but even though it has become many, it is still independently existing. The source is not touched. Without, that is why it is called as abhinna. Abhinna means non-differentiation. It doesn't, without any vikriya, without any modification, it becomes. How it becomes? Because of the Shakti. Kamataha. Kamataha means there's no force. It is nobody forces or nobody uses a will. It is not a forced, deliberate. It is reality out of its own will decided. Like you, for example, decide to make a painting or write a song, right? This is the creative power. Maya Shakti is nothing but the creative power of that pure Brahman. And that creative ability is called as tapas. The same thing was discussed in the Saturday class also, tapas. Tapas means thinking power. In your own mind, you say, okay, this is the master copy, this is the master design of the whole universe. What it happens is the Jiva, the Ishwara, with his power, takes all the karma phalams of all the Jivas and then produces this shishti. Can this happen? Yes, it happens. Similar to what? Like our dream world. As we create our own dream world, Ishvara creates this whole universe in a matter of few seconds. Asrujata sarvam jagatu iti yana. The whole karmas of all the Jiva Rashis, it is taught by the Lord and it is revealed. Taittiriya Upanishad describes Srishti in this format. In Krama Srishti. Okay, so that is the verse. Next verse.
देवासीत् इदमग्रे सदेवासीत् बहुत्वाय तदैक्षत बहुत्वाय तदैक्षत तेजो बण्णाण्डजादीनि तेजो बण्णाण्डजादीनि ससर्जेति च सामगाः ससर्जेति च सामगाः.
Chandogya Upanishad. How does Chandogya Upanishad talk about creation? Chandogya Upanishad doesn't talk about 5 elements. It talks about 3 elements. What are the 3 elements? It skips the Akasha and Vayu and takes only the 3 other elements: fire, water, earth. From the earth, the food comes, and from the food, different beings are born. This is the next verse of Chandogya Upanishad. This is the verse 621. 6th chapter is the main chapter of Chandogya Upanishad, where Tattvamasi is taught. And the first mantra of that the 6th chapter, second section is Sadeva Saumyam Idam Agreyasi Ekameva Advitiyam. Very important verse. Ekam Eva Advitiyam. You must underline the word Advitiyam. Ekam. There is a huge discussion on these 3 words. Ekam Eva Advitiyam. In some chapters later on, you will find this particular one verse is taken up for analysis. Some 20-30 verses are written on this verse. Now, here, only thing we should understand is that this Ekam Eva Advitiyam, the nature of that Brahman is described as one without a second. And the nature here is described as Sad. Sad means existence. So, in Taittiriya Upanishad, Satyam Nyanam Anantam. These are the 3 words used for the pure consciousness. Here, Sat as Sat existence principle is explained, elaborated. In Taittiriya, it is mainly the consciousness, nyanam portion, which is highlighted. Here, existence. Now, the description of shishti continues in the other verses. Some of the verses I have given here. Which you can read through. I'm not going to go into the too much of a detail because otherwise it will take a too long a time. What is important is, I shall be many, I shall be born. You see, this is the sentiency. This is the one which says that pure Brahman thought of creation and the creation came. And what type of Jivas are born is explained here. The Jivas are born in three ways: from eggs, from parents, and from plants. So the 6-1 says, in the beginning, Sat alone was, one without a second, non-dual principle. There was no differentiation in that Brahman. In Dvaitam, what we see? Differentiation. In Advaitam, what is the nature? Non-differentiation. So the nature of each one of us, is it this body-mind complex? No. This is an incidental nature. Don't take this as my real nature. This nature is given to us by God so that we can enjoy some fruits and then go back into our own original nature. So, Srishti is explained in this way, that we are not born in this world, but we are the original consciousness. So here, tad aikshata is the word which says envisaged, that pure existence envisaged to make this creation. And when it envisaged, what did it realize? That it has the Shakti. It has Maya Shakti. The moment you decide, I have a Shakti to create a painting, then you start producing a painting. Moment you think that I can sing a song, start singing a song. You feel you have the Shakti. You feel you have the Shakti to earn money. You invest in business, you make money. That is your Shakti. You feel you have the Shakti to create, to cook very well. Very good. That is the Shakti. And you realize it. Who realizes it? It is the Jiva which is inside this body. Realizes. And then you can cook so many different varieties of dishes. Similarly, Lord is also like us. It's in the human form. It can. You see, the human being can only imagine God in the same way it is. It cannot imagine in any other form. So this pure cosmic being created fire, water, earth. Here also there is a order. From fire, water. From water, the earth comes. If you study the Chandogya Upanishad, you will get the full details. So Chandogya Upanishad talks about three elements. Taittiriya Upanishad, 5 elements. In Taittiriya, there is no Panchikaranam. Whereas in Chandogya, you talk about Panchikaranam. The entire Veda should be studied as one subject matter. Don't get too much involved with creation, whether it is 3 elements or 5 elements, and don't get into contradictions. What you have to understand is, this is the way the creation is, but realize what is the nature of this creation. It is Jadam. The 4 sources of how Jivas are born: Andajam, oviparous. That is in English, that's what we use. And birds come from eggs. Jivajam, born out of wombs, human beings. Udbijam, by breaking open the earth or the seeds. Monocotyledon, dicotyledon, these are all just how the seed breaks up. That means how plants and trees come about, that is Udbija. Fourth one, Swedaja. Swedaja means from sweat, moisture, some insects are born. These are the only four sources of a jiva to be produced in this world. You cannot think of the fifth one. This is the Upanishadic mantra. Tejo ab anna andajani sasrijata cha samaka. So this is the way the creation is spoken of in Chandogya Upanishad. So this slide is only a revision. I don't want to get it. It's the same repetition. If you want to just revise, this is the way to revise. So from that pure Sat, Nirguna Brahman, the pure reality, this through the Maya principle of thinking, Aikshata, this creation full of variety, it comes. Whole variety of things and beings. Okay, that is verse number 6.
पुलिंगा यथा वह्नेः विस्फुलिंगा यथा वह्नेः जायन्ते क्षरतस्तथा विविधाश्चिज्जडा भाव इत्यातर्वणिका श्रुतिः
Mundaka Upanishad. What does Mundaka Upanishad say? How does the creation of jivas and the whole things, how the beings, how does it come? It says, Vishpalinga yatha vanne jayante sharastastatha. Exactly like from a blazing fire, sparks are produced. Similarly, from the immutable Brahman, Aksharam Brahma, the whole world of animate and inanimate things are born. See, whenever you talk about Mundak, you should remember the word Aksharam. That is the description of Brahman in Mundak. Aksharam Brahma, na sharati, it is never destroyed. There is something in the world which is never destroyed, and that is Brahman, and that is our real nature. It is called as Satyam Nyanam Anantam. It is pure existence, pure consciousness, pure bliss. When you study Taittiriya Upanishad, you will understand that bliss, that ananda, happiness which we enjoy in this world is nothing but a reflection of that happiness of pure being. Very, very big analysis in Taittiriya you get. Yatha vanne vishpulinga jayate. Like the sparks are born, countless sparks are born. Similarly, countless jivas are born from one big fire, which is called as Brahman. That aksharataha, aksharata means deathless reality, permanent reality, without any modifications, nirvikara Brahman. That is
Pulinga
nature of the truth. From that truth, the whole world comes. This is how Mundaka Upanishad describes. Here, the chit sentient nature of creation is elaborated. That is why the fire and the spark is the example. Sentiency is like the light. Inert is dark. So, exactly like the sparks are produced, Jivas, they come and they go. They come and they go. To have sentiency, you need an upadhi. You have to have the container called as antakaranam. Without the antakaranam, the inner instrument, you can never feel the sentiency. Mind is a container for that pure Brahman to reflect. I can never understand the nature of pure Brahman because it is beyond words. I have to use the container. And the container is what? The body. The container is the word. Through the words which I use, I have to show what is cannot be described by words. Iti atharvana ko shrutihi. Mundaka Upanishad belongs to Atharvana Veda. And this is the truth. This is the exact mantra 211, which talks about the sparks and the fire. And then there is another mantra in Mundaka Upanishad in the second chapter. We are studying the Mundaka Upanishad in the Saturday classes. So these are all people who are attending the Saturday classes. You'll be very familiar with these verses. And this description of this Brahman is given in this particular verse, Divyoya Murtaha Purushaha. What is the nature of this Brahman? It is self-resplendent. It exists by itself. It is formless. Sa bahya, sa antaraha. Na bahya, na antaraha. There is no outside and inside in Brahman. It is all one indivisible cosmic being. That is the description of Brahman. It is transcendent. It is unmanifested causal state of the universe. The whole universe, you see, I keep on telling you that in the sleep state, we are Brahman. This is the proof. The whole universe gets into an unmanifest form in the sleep state. That sleep state is called as the seed state, Karana Shariram, of this whole creation. Beyond this causal state is the nature of pure Brahman. Okay, so this is how Srishti is explained. Always remember, Srishti is only for us to understand our real nature. Through Srishti, Vidyaranya is trying to teach us, who am I? Variety comes from one principle. Variety is the same as the one. Variety is sustained by that one. Variety goes back to that one. These are the points which we should understand when we are trying to understand creation. And this is Aksharam Brahma. That is Mundaka Upanishad. In Bhagavad-gita also, similar example is given, similar thought process is there. For those who have done the Bhagavad-gita, this famous verse is there. Dvami mau purushau loke, ksharaschakshara evacha, Kshara sarvani bhutani kutosto kshara uchyate. Two Purushas are there in this world. One is perishable, another is imperishable. All beings are perishable, and the Kutastha is called as imperishable. What does it mean? The Sthula Shariram is perishable. Compared to the Sthula Shariram, the Sukshma Shariram is imperishable. But beyond the Sukshma Shariram, also there is something, and that is what is called as Kutastha. Kutastha is the name of Brahman. Here also the word Aksharam is used. All of this, they mean the same principle. It is one principle, 6 Upanishads Vidyaranya has taken. Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Aitareya Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, Chandogya Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. We are going to study the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad now. This is the Swami Vidyaranya's unique skill by which he can bring so many different Upanishads and in one place so that our intellect can understand. See, this is in a focused way. When you study creation, you will understand they are all talking of the same Brahman.
जगदव्याकृतं पूर्वं जगदव्याकृतं पूर्वम् आसीद्व्याक्रियताधुना आसीद्व्याक्रियताधुना दृश्याभ्यां नामरूपाभ्यां दृश्याभ्यां नामरूपाभ्यां विराडादिषु ते स्फुटे विराडादिषु ते स्फुटे.
Beautifully chanted by Vijaya, who is one of the participants of this program. She has very beautifully chanted these mantras. The whole chapter she has done the chanting. She has done the chanting for the first chapter also, previous chapters also. What does this verse say? It is also said, this is Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. What does it say? That before manifestation, the whole world existed in Brahman. Again, the same message, right? So our intellect, when it receives this message 10 times from 10 different directions and 10 different Upanishads, then the message sinks into our mind. There was something before this creation came about, and that is what is called as Brahman. I have to be in search of that Brahman in my own intellect. The moment I understand that Brahman in my own intellect, I am free. I am free with the identification with this body, which is the ultimate purpose of the study of Upanishads. Here, very beautifully it says that pure Brahman, assuming a name and form, became the Virat Ishwara. Ishwara, you see, Brahman, it can become Karana Sharira Ishwara, it can become Sukshma Sharira Hiranyagarbha, or it can become the Sthula Prapancha Virat. Sthula Prapancha, Sukshma Prapancha, Karana Prapancha. Different Upanishads, they focus on these three different. In some Upanishads, they talk about Hiranyagarbha, which is the Surya principle. In some Upanishads, they talk about Maya, Shvetashvatara Upanishad, Karana Ishwara, Karana Prapancha. So here it talks about the Virat. Virat means the Sthula universe which you see. What does this say? It was first in an undifferentiated form. From an undifferentiated form, the whole variety of organs of speech, the eyes, the ears, the entire sense organs, the entire sense objects are all created from one undifferentiated Brahman. Jagat abhyakritam purvam asit. Without differentiation, it is called as Sat Brahman. Vyakruta adhuna. Now you can't recognize that. Now you can that the world can be recognized at the moment, but before its creation, before its manifestation, it was in Avyakrita state. What is seen is Vyakritam, seen with the sense organs. Avyakritam means the sense organs can't perceive, which is what happens in our sleep state. My sense organs cannot perceive that unmanifest Brahman. There are two unmanifests. One unmanifest is the Karana Prapancha, Karana Sharira. Another one which is unmanifest, which will not be perceived, that is what is called as nyanam. Brahma Jnanam. Sleep state is experiential. Brahman is knowledge, understanding. Okay, so this variety of creation has come from that Virat Purusha. These are all beginningless principles. Anadi. Ishvara is Anadi, Brahman is Anadi, Maya is Anadi. Anadi means what? Beginningless. There is no starting point for when was the Ishvara born, when was Brahman born, when was Maya Shakti born. No, it is a cycle. It is there. It has always been there. But you should understand in what form. That is why we study Vedanta. Upanishad give us the details of what the shishti is, but through Vedanta, we try to understand the real meaning of those verses. For example, if somebody asks you a question, how long have you been having the dream? In the dream, if somebody is asking, how long have you been having the dream? Can you answer that question? The only answer you will say is Anadi Kalaha. I don't know when the dream started. I don't know when the dream will end, but it is Anadi. Similarly, this waking also is Anadi. Brahman is Paramarthika Vastu. It is beyond Anadi also. There is something which is beyond time. That is what is called as Paramarthika. Okay, these are all very abstract principles, but you can appreciate it. So Anadi is beginningless principle, applies to Ishvara. It does not apply to Brahman because Ishvara is in time, Brahman is beyond time. That is the reason we say in Taittiriya Upanishad, Yato vacho nivartante, aprapya manasa saha, anandam brahmano vidvan, na bibeti kadachaneti. This Brahman cannot be reached by speech because it is the cause of speech. It cannot be reached by the mind because it is the cause of mind. He who knows this eternal truth, this is a very famous verse in Taittiriya Upanishad. It is, it says that once you know this is the nature of that pure Brahman, then you understand this is my nature also. Once you understand this is your nature, what will happen? You will never have fear at any time in your life. That is why when you study Vedanta, many spiritual students, they say that I have no fear at all. There is no fear of death. There is no fear from anything, because your mind has tasted that knowledge of Brahman. Where there is nothing, there is no duality, there is only Advaitam Brahma. If that is the truth, how do I experience fear? It is because of ignorance. In Taittiriya Upanishad, there in this particular mantra, after that there is an analysis which says wise people do not fear. Ignorant people fear, because they don't know the nature of Brahman. Where thoughts cannot go, there are no words to describe that. Words recede along with the mind on approaching Brahman. Means what? I cannot express what I am trying to experience. What I am trying to understand, I am not able to express through the words. That is why there is a method called as Neti Neti. You negate everything. After negating everything, what remains? I cannot express it in words. I cannot think about it in my mind. But still the Upanishad conveys it. That is what is called as indirect method of revelation through Lakshana. Lakshana vritti. Okay. So the name and form comes in Virat Purusha, which is gross in nature. In the causal nature, there is no name and form. That means in Karanavastha, there is no name and form. In dream, there is name and form. In waking, there is name and form. But in causal state, in sleep, there is no name and form. When there is no name and form, it is called as avyakrita avastha. In Ishvara, there is no nama rupa, it is avyakrita avastha. So one consciousness plus the gross world is called as Virat. One consciousness with the total subtle world, which means the thought world, is called as Hiranyagarbha. The same consciousness, when it is imbued with ignorance or Maya, it is called as Ishvara. Same consciousness is called as Virat, Hiranyagarbha, Ishvara. Okay, so these slides here are talking about revision, which is what we have done so far. It's just a revision of what we have done. This is there in the notes. You can study it. You will get benefit out of it. So there is one Ishvara with Chaitanyam. That Ishvara, what is the definition of Ishvara? Chaitanyam plus Maya. That Chaitanyam plus Maya can be with Nama Rupa or without Nama Rupa. When it is without Nama Rupa, it is called as unmanifest. When it is with Nama Rupa, which is Sukshma Nama Rupa, it is called as Hiranyagarbha. With the gross, it is called as Virat. That is what is there in this chart. This tells you the different, how from causal, the subtle comes, from the subtle, the gross comes. these are some slides which tells you the 3 levels of creation. One Karanam Ishwara appears as Karyam, which is Virat and Hiranyagarbha. The subtle, this is exactly what was taught in Mandukya also. One Ishvara, which is in the form of Karana Prapancha, appears as Karya Prapancha, which is Sukshma Prapancha and Sthula Prapancha. Okay, these are all creation theories. Some details are given in these slides. I will see whether I can finish this. It's quite a long one. Okay, I will take this 9th verse next week. In case you have some questions on what we have discussed today, you can ask me. And I will start with the 9th. There are 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. 5 more verses are there for creation. Next week, we'll try and finish up these 5 verses, and then we will move on to the Jiva shishti. In these, towards the end of these verses, it's all the Lord, the Vidyaranya will say how Jivas are born. What is the Jiva? Okay. So next week, we will see the 9th verse. Okay. With this, we'll close today's session. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachade Purnasya Purnamathaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Let's see if there are any chats. There's nothing, no messages in the chat. I can see there's no questions in the chat. In case you have any questions, Shanmugam is going to unmute and then you can ask your questions. Today, there won't be any meditation session. We'll continue with the meditation next week.
Sekhaji,
Bolo, bye.
as earlier it stated, before Ishvara there was creation. If so, then how was it like?
Before Ishvara means that before Ishvara came in this world form, he was in a nature where your eyes cannot know, your mind cannot know. That is how he was.
Blank, is it?
Yeah, that is how we should understand. You see, it was pure nature. There is no different what the Upanishads are telling us is, in the sleep state, if I ask you, can you describe me your sleep state? What will you say? I cannot describe, because it is not possible for words to describe the sleep state. All I can say is it is one undifferentiated experience. I can't describe it in words. I can't describe. My mind is completely. It has no means to describe. So this Brahman is the nature of Ishvara before creation. And what is the way to describe that? How does the Upanishads, Upanishad says that words cannot describe. When you say that words cannot describe, you should say words cannot describe directly. Indirectly, words will say can describe that state. How? Neti Neti is a method. You drop everything in the creation, body, mind, world. Suppose you drop everything, you sit down and close your eyes and say it in, just imagine a situation where you don't experience the body, you don't experience the mind, you don't experience the world. That is the nature of Ishvara before creation.
That means total blank.
It is not blankness, it is something called as Chaitanya. What you are saying as blankness, Upanishad says it is called as Chaitanyam, Sat, or Ananda. These are the three words used by Upanishad.
Okay,
And this Ananda, when we say, it is not Ananda of born when you see something, you taste something. That happiness which you get by the contact of the sense organs with the sense objects, it is relative. It is not the original happiness. It will be there for some time, it will go away. That's all. But how to know that absolute happiness, pure happiness? You are asking a question, what was the nature of that Ishvara? That nature of Ishvara was pure happiness, unmixed with any sorrow. Zero. Nothing is there of sorrowful. For example, in your sleep state, suppose I tell you that is your state, that is your intrinsic state. So, you know, the whole principle of this Vedanta is very simple if you understand and try to learn your own experiences with the help of Upanishadic knowledge. Very simple. Whatever you're learning in the Upanishad, you put it into your own mind and see it in yourself. When you do that, what will happen? You will see that pure Brahman is your own nature. It is not something in the books. The Upanishad is only teaching me. So what you should do is, am I experiencing this body all the time? No. When I go to dream state, I don't experience this body at all. So what should be my conclusion? Upanishad is teaching me this body and the state of where you have this physical body, it is an incidental state. That's all. Temporary state. Okay, in this state, I am mother, I am father, I am son, I am daughter, I enjoy Dasera festival. Very good, no problem. Upanishad says you enjoy all that. But if you want to know who you are, just apply a little bit of what you're studying in the Upanishad to your own self. Ask this question: waking state, physical body is experienced, world is experienced. These two are related. Body and Virat, whole universe, physically. Then I go to sleep in the night. What happens? Every day I go to sleep. When I go to sleep, isn't that also my experience? Yes, it is. Because ultimately I say, I went to sleep, I had a dream, I am in the waking state. That is why you say all the three states belong to me only. That I which is common is that it is pure state of Brahman. But I am, due to error, I am thinking that this waking is my real state. This body is my real state. This is the error. What Upanishad says is just drop this error in your mind, that's all, and then live your life, finished. Upanishad is over. Very simple. Ultimately, Upanishad is to be applied in your own self. You will realize Aham Brahmasmi, very simple, very easy. From that Brahman only this whole Karanavastha, this Sukshma Avastha, the dream Avastha, waking Avastha, all that comes in and goes. What is changeless is that pure nature of mind. I am always that. I am never born. When I say I am born, I am growing, all that is only adhyasa. It is only an error. Upanishad teaches me to drop the mistake which I am making in my intellect. Through the intellect, only say that I have dropped my ignorance about myself, and now I have the knowledge. I have full strength of the Upanishadic knowledge. Good question, Bhagavad. Thank you. Okay, there is some more question here. What does it mean by grace of God? Okay, that's a very beautiful question. See, grace of God means, when I study Upanishads, or when how did I come to learn Bhagavad-gita, Upanishad, or Brahma Sutra, or Panchadasi? How? There is some power which has made me turn into coming into this direction of knowing myself. It is not out of my own will I have started learning this. If you really go back to your experience of coming into study of this literature itself, it is through the grace of Lord. Now, as you grow in this with this knowledge, what happens is, inside you get some feeling that there is some power which is pulling me into some another world of which I don't know. It's an unknown world. And that is the power of the Lord. It is the power of Maya Shakti. It is Ishvara's power. He will show you, suddenly he will show you that this is your real nature. This is what is being revealed to you again and again when you study the Upanishads. Upanishads are the mouthpiece of that Lord, the Creator. And if you study this universe, you will find more and more there is grace of Lord which is involved. Beyond a certain level, I cannot describe this grace. It is something which you feel. Through Shraddha in the scriptures, you feel there is some power which is in this body. You see, this body has got the power to talk, to sing, to chant, to see the world, to hear. All that power is what? It is the grace of the Lord. If you really start studying Upanishads, you will find that everything is the grace of the Lord only. The very fact I'm able to see, I'm able to hear, that is that power which is there in this body. And you will see that you will start realizing that power more and more when you study the Upanishads a little bit more. So, Sumana, is it clear? Okay. Srivatsan is asking, seeing that everything has originated from him, we realize that we are all sparks. Okay, that's good. We are that pure, we can understand the existence of the pure being, Brahman. Why does Adi Shankara calls it Jagat Mithya? Oh, I was very happy seeing all your first few lines. In the last, I was completely bored. Why is the Adi Shankara calls it Jagat is Mithya? Okay. See, this is a very, very famous statement of Shankaracharya. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Brahma Satyam is the truth. That means what? We are, through the creation, we are trying to understand that consciousness. Why is Jagat called as Mithya? Because it is only a apparent reality. It is not the ultimate reality. Apparent means what? Like a dream. It came, it went, it had its own purpose, and then I got up from the dream. Similarly, making is chalta hai, it's going on. And again, one day I will get up from this waking dream also, and I will realize the pure nature of the world. See, the world has got two natures. One is the material nature. That is what is called as the reflecting medium. Like my mind is the reflecting medium for that pure consciousness. The whole world is the reflecting medium for Ishvara. So, beyond this seen world, there is that Brahman. That is why Shankaracharya says Jagat Mithya. Mithyatva means it is not that it is not there. It is vyavaharically it is experienced. Body is experienced. The whole world is experienced. But it is an apparent truth. Nobody will say that the dream didn't exist. Dream is an apparent truth. And what can you say about your sleep state? It is also apparent. It just came and went. I slept yesterday, I got up, that's all. Again tonight I will sleep. Again tomorrow I'll get up. So this experience of the fleeting world is called as mithya. Therefore, ultimately what Shankaracharya says is Jivo Brahmaiva na paraha. Jivo must be replaced by Aham. Aham Brahmaiva na paraha. I understand the equation of I with that pure consciousness. Between the world and between the body, there is something common. That common is what is called as Brahman. You will understand more and more about this truth when we study the Mahavakyas. Your question is a very beautiful question. It is a very deep question. It will get answered. You will get more and more convinced when you experience the Mahavakya analysis. Okay, Vivek Chudamani, verse 3 explains the grace. Durlabham trayam ivetat. Okay, that is Vijaya's explanation of what is the grace. Good. All right. Is there anything else you would like to ask personally?
I have a question, Shekhar.
Yeah, Vijay, go ahead.
You had explained about the two types of the Abhyakta state.
Yes.
The Karana, which is the ignorance, that is deep sleep, which is experientiable. Anubhuti is possible, whereas you said the other type is the Nyanam, where the Anubhuti is not possible, experience is not possible.
Correct. The
And
moment
you say
experience means mind is involved, Triputi comes. And what is not experienceable is called as knowledge, jnanam. Upanishad gives us knowledge, jnanam. Jnanam is inexperienceable. whereas experienceable is Triputi. Whatever is coming in under the umbrella of Triputi, Triputi means Pramata, Pramanam, Prameya. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if we are equating jnanam also to be the unmanifest or avyakta state, because Brahman is beyond the manifest and unmanifest, and
I
he
am
is
only
Brahman.
using the word avyakta only to explain to you that it is like this avyakta karana avastha. Brahman is also avyaktam, means it cannot be seen by, it cannot be perceived. It is actually Brahman is not avyaktam also, it is beyond. I am only explaining to you so that your mind can travel in the direction of the sleep state and then go beyond the sleep state to some other existential fact which is there, which your sense organs. I'm using the word avyakta. Even in Bhagavad-gita, it uses the two words, two abhyaktams, only for taking the mind of a jiva to understand that pure Brahman. That's all.
Okay. So can we say in that case the karana is Triputi and jnanam is Triputi rahitam?
Yes, absolutely. Karanavastha is still some form of a Triputi exists because you are still experiencing ignorance. You know, it is called as Karanavastha because that is the seed state for the waking and dream. Whereas you are right, you know, Brahman is avastha rahitaha. Brahman is, you follow the Tattvabodha simplest definition of Atma, it is beyond the three states, beyond the Panchakoshas, and beyond the three Sharirams. What it is? Neither Karanam, neither Karya. Karanam is the Karanavastha. Karyam is the Sukshma Shariram and Sthula Shariram. So this is the technical side of Vedanta. If you are clear, then your Mahavakyam will be extremely powerful.
Yeah.
Then when you study the Mahavakyam, your mind should go straight into Brahman. That's all. There is nothing more than Mahavakyam. Tattvamasi. I am Atma Brahma. These are all four Mahavakyams. Apart from this, there is another beautiful Mahavakyam which is less popular. It comes in Taittiriya Upanishad. It is Sayaschayam Purushe. That verse I will take up for meditation in one of the meditation sessions. It is also Mahavakyam. In that Mahavakyam, the happiness which a jiva experiences, all of us, we experience happiness. We know that we experience happiness. Now, how is this happiness compared to that absolute happiness of Brahman? It is explained that happiness of a jiva is the same as the happiness of Brahman, absolute happiness. But absolute happiness, can I explain without the jiva's happiness? I cannot. Jiva's happiness is a upadhi. It is a medium by which I say that happiness is only a small reflection. If that pure Brahman was not there, none of the jivas would have experienced any type of happiness in life. Very powerful Mahavakyam is very, everybody knows the four Mahavakyams, but this is another powerful Mahavakyam. I'll take it up one of these days because it is related to Ananda. See, normally Mahavakyams are related to consciousness, Chaitanya. whereas this Mahavakyam is related to happiness. And this, you see, it's why we need to do this Mahavakyam is because they will, that is the ultimate, that is the last thing which we need to understand whenever we are doing this spiritual journey. Even if you want to study yourself, I would suggest focus on the Mahavakya study of Bhashyams of Shankaracharya, of those 4 verses. If you can get hold of those Bhashyams, it will be very, very beautiful. It's a great experience. You will enjoy it, especially if you have enjoyed these Vedantic lectures. It is the juice of all these lectures, you know. Okay, any other questions?
Yeah, Shekharji, if there is a time, if you could talk a little bit more about Hiranyagarbha.
Okay, Hiranyagarbha is Samashti Sukshma Prapancha. For example, when we take ourselves, we are talking about 3 levels. Vishwa, Vishwa, that means my physical body, when I experience, I am called as Vishwa. I, the consciousness, the pure Brahman, am called as Vishwa in the waking state. This is how we should understand. Then the same consciousness, when it is in the dream state, it is called as Taijasa. And when the same consciousness in the sleep state, it is called as Prajna. Okay, this is with reference to me. Now, this is called as Vyashti. This is called as individual. Vedanta says you apply the same principle to the universe. This body is also Panchabhutas. Universe is also Panchabhutas. Universe also, there will be Karana Prapancha. That means totality in the causal form. You see, I am in the causal form in my sleep state. In the sleep state, what is parallel to me? In the waking state, parallel to me is Virat. That means Vishwa, I am experiencing the Virat, which is the whole Prapancha, total physical universe. Similarly, in the dream, like I experience the dream state, which is the Taijasa, the totality of all the minds is called as Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha is a principle. Like from Karana Shariram, Sukshma Shariram is born. From Karana Prapancha, which is Ishvara, the first born is Hiranyagarbha. Hiranyagarbha represents the total subtle bodies. All the minds put together, what do you call it? You call it Hiranyagarbha. Normally, Hiranyagarbha is worshipped as Surya Devata, because Surya Devata is also shining, and Hiranyagarbha is also shining because it's full of knowledge. See, for example, I have a limited knowledge. There must be the total knowledge also available in the world. That total knowledge principle is called as Hiranyagarbha. So, normally, in the Shastras, Ishvara is also prayed in the form of Surya Devata. Hiranyagarbha is also worshipped in the form of Surya. Virat Ishvara is also worshipped in the form of Surya. The Surya is the one which can be perceived by the sense organs. It is something very powerful. You know, Savitu Devata. You see, that is another Gayatri Devata. These are all Devatas which are there in the, which is prayed in the form of, which is available in the form, a Devata which is available of the sun. So Hiranyagarbha Devata, it is actually a Devata. It's a when you say Surya, it means it is according to the Shastra, it is an exalted Jiva. All Devatas are exalted Jivas with powers. They are Agni Devata is a Jiva, but with powers, huge powers. You pray to Agni Devata, it can give you tremendous benefits. Similarly, you pray to Surya Devata through the Aditya Hridayam shlokas. So, to answer your question, simple, Hiranyagarbha is total mind, total Sukshma Shakti of the universe. Good. Anybody else?
Shekhar, I'd like to know what is the difference between the happiness you get in the world and the real happiness on realization.
Oh, good. Very good question. Actually, this is a very important, a very beautiful question, but I'll tell you in short, the more you, this is a question which is very, very beautifully answered in Taittiriya Upanishad. Taittiriya Upanishad has got one full section called as Ananda Mimamsa. In Ananda Mimamsa, happiness of a individual is taken as one unit. That individual is a young person full of energy, and that young person has got the whole earth as his wealth. So you can imagine how much happiness he will have. So one person with the whole earth as the wealth for him is called as one unit of happiness. Now, in Ananda Mimamsa, it says that the happiness of Hiranyagarbha, which I was just now describing, is the highest, because it is the firstborn. It is the firstborn out of Ishwara. In the Ananda Mimamsa, it says, suppose you multiply this happiness of a human being by 200 zeros. Don't try to calculate, you'll never be able to calculate. So it means that there is some happiness they are trying to compare between a Devata's happiness and a Jiva's happiness. Now, why I'm pointing to you is, this is experiential happiness. There is an happiness which Taittiriya Upanishad says, the same happiness which a Jiva can experience with sense objects, contacting the sense organs, the same happiness can be enjoyed by having vairagya from sense objects. You see, this when you have vairagyam, suppose you say, okay, a simple example, I want to enjoy one dish. Suppose I say tomorrow, no, I can also remain without enjoying that dish. What they say is, by vairagyam also, you can also, you as a person, individual, the joy which you get from vairagyam is multifold. It is much more happiness than by actually enjoying the dish. And this is a simple. But now you understand, you are asking, what is the joy of a person who has got nyanam? The nyanam is absolute. Absolute means what? According to the Shastra, according to Taittiriya Upanishad, it says that all the happiness which we experience in life is only a reflection. This reflection is coming and going. It is never permanent. So if I attach myself to the sense object's happiness, it will come and go. Dasara will come and go. Diwali will come and go. It will give me some joy of some, for a few hours, my mind will be happy doing things, doing that, doing this. It is experiential. But what is the joy of a wise man? The joy of a wise man is he knows that this is incidental reflected happiness. Whereas the original happiness is my nature. My nature is not this body, not this ananda, which is the subtlest thing which I'm experiencing. Beyond the subtlest happiness, there is one more happiness. It is absolute happiness. That I can get through the knowledge of the ultimate adhishthanam of this happiness. The substratum of all happiness of all the worlds, according to the scriptures, it says is Brahma Jnanam. And that happiness a wise man has. So when he enjoys in the world, not that he will not enjoy a good dish or a nice, he will enjoy. As a jnani, you can enjoy all the experiential ananda. But with the knowledge, it is number one, incidental. Number two, it is only a reflection. It is born, it will be gone. Definitely it will go. Because it is, you see, I'll tell you the technical reason. This is because it is a reflection out of a vritti. Vritti means it's a thought. That thought doesn't remain too long in your mind. And that goes away. Because the thought goes away, suddenly you feel, oh, that ananda is gone. Again, you feel empty inside. This is the feeling of emptiness of joy. Emptiness of joy is ajnani's ananda. Whereas jnani, his happiness is absolute happiness because he knows that that happiness is never gone.
Everlasting.
It is always there because he has tasted that happiness because of Vedantic study. Am I clear?
Yeah, very clear.
I can go on and on, but I want to put a stop because it's quite late.
Yeah, very nice. Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
quite interesting.
Yeah, Venkatesh.
Yeah, I mean, this whole chapter Ishwar Srishti is very, very interesting.
Very deep, very deep. You know, the moment you study Jiva Srishti, we are just in the 4th, 10th, 8th mantra now. You see, we are going to go study more and more. It is very deep. See, the thing is, through this, how beautifully Vidyaranya comes out and says, drop the Jiva Srishti, only look at the Ishvara Srishti and enjoy. That's all. You see,
I'm just seeing like he has very smartly put it. When the human can have so many desires, why not Lord Brahman can have?
Yeah, that is his desire.
So it's simple. His desire has become this whole existence and this whole world.
Yes.
And the desires keep changing. So it is mithya. It does not have any permanent feature.
Yes.
So the God's this sankalpa also, it keeps changing because his desire.
Yeah.
The whole thing, if you take it as a desire, I'm just trying to understand in principle what he really means. So what he just trying to put it is like a desire. So when you say it's a desire, it keeps changing. It is bound by time.
Yeah.
So, and he's just trying to say that this whole world is something like a desire of the God, and the God himself is like an intelligent cause behind everything.
Yeah.
So, like all that Big Bang theory and all that Mundaka Upanishad, the spark and non-spark, this whole science, everything he had just put it into one simple form.
Yeah, that's correct. You see, that's the beauty of which Panchadasi in 10-12 mantras.
Yeah.
All the Srishti of all the Upanishads, Vidyaranya brings it and presents to us and says, Look at it, come on. This is Ishvara Shishti. This is Ishvara Shishti. This is Ishvara Shishti. That is the Acharya, that is the teacher.
Because we are trying to analyze this whole concept from many to one.
Yeah.
Many means there are so many actually. If you see one, why not from that? Why not from this? Like that, it keeps coming. So he has put it in a very nice way and brought all these Upanishads together, which ultimately leads to the convergent Brahman only, who is Apurusha.
Yes.
That's it. So nothing is born before, so it's beyond anybody's imagination.
Okay, Venkatesh. Thank you.
Yeah.
And good night. Wish you all a very happy Dasara celebrations. And thank you. Good night.
Thank you.
Hari Om. Yeah.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Good night.